everyone. Welcome to the Fellowship League once again. We would like to greet you happy good evening, good morning, and good afternoon to you all, wherever you are around the world. For those who don't know me, I am yours truly, Carl Abad, and I'm currently taking up a history degree at the Polytechnic University of the Philippines, here in the Philippines, here in Manila. And I'm also an active member of Christ Commission Fellowship, or CCF, which is a non-denominational church here in Manila, headed by Pastor Peter Tanchi. And in particular, I'm also an active member of Elevate, which is a youth movement there, headed by Pastor Marty Okaya. And I serve there as a youth speaker, leader, and facilitator. And it's always been one of my passions to study apologetics, and I've always desired to study apologetics through the lens of history. Now, before we proceed to this wonderful topic, I would like to give first the purpose of why we have the Fellowship League. The Fellowship League focuses on three words: facts, cross, and discourse. These facts, whether spiritual, intellectual, or emotional, find their center, foundation, and focus on the cross or person of Jesus Christ. And the means of doing so is via discourse or conversation. To simplify it in one statement, the main mission of the Fellowship League is to bring out the truth of the gospel undergirded with love to the seekers. And seekers are people who are committed to find the answers to the deepest questions of life. And if you are one of them, welcome aboard. Let's have a recap on so far on what we have talked about in this series. And for you viewers who have been new in our page for so long and have been wondering what we've been going through, we are currently in a series entitled "How to Be a 21st Century Christian." And the topics we have discussed are as follows. Number one, we have discussed how to be a 21st century Christian artist. And following week, we discussed on how to be a 21st century Christian in the corporate world. And afterwards, we discussed on the topic of how to be a 21st century Christian youth. So we focus more on the youth in the 21st century, and we also discuss on what advices and encouragements we could give to the youth. And in the previous week, we would like to thank one of our colleagues, Aaron Daniel C., who interviewed the wonderful guest who discussed about how to be a 21st century Christian through the social media. And now we're going to focus now on the topic on reaching out to the secular 21st century, and we would love to hear insights from a former atheist turned Christian. And without any further ado, let's welcome our guest, Andrés Vásquez. He is a political science student at the Pontificia Universidad Católica del Perú. He is a volunteer. He's currently a volunteer at RZIM LATAM. LATAM stands for Latin America. And he is a self-taught in philosophy and theology with an emphasis on the philosophy of religion. Andrés also administers an apologetics blog called Imago Dei. He also has a YouTube channel and a Facebook page called Imago Dei, dedicated mainly to showing the veracity of Christianity, and also conducts interviews with different Christian scholars. So everybody, let's all welcome Mr. Andrés Vásquez. Hello, Mr. Andrés. How are you doing?
Hi, Carl. It's good to be here. Thank you for having me in your show. And it's a pleasure for me to be here.
It's definitely an honor to have you here as our guest, Mr. Andrés. And the reason why we invited you here is because based on our previous talks, you used to be a former atheist. Actually, at first you were a Christian. You were raised as a Christian, and then suddenly you became an atheist. And then now you're back to being a Christian again. So that's really good. And as where you are right now, I can see behind you, you have awesome books, all set up really well and organized, man. I mean, I'm sure you're a book reader, and I know you learn a lot about so many things. And based on your biography, and it's really exciting to hear a lot of insights from you, Mr. Andrés. And currently, you are in, particularly, where in Peru again, bro?
Yeah, I'm here in Lima, in the capital.
Capital of Peru.
Uh, and yeah, as you can see, I like to read. And yeah, I used to be an atheist, but I think that I never, I never be a Christian, you know, because if you are a Christian and you have this special encounter with God, you can never separate from God. So I think that I was in the dark side during all my life, and then
Yes, dark
I
side.
find
I can
Jesus.
I
Oh, oh,
I can
oh!
see
Jesus
dark.
found me. Yeah,
Yes, and with that, Jesus found you when you were in the dark side. I can see Darth Vader behind you, bro.
yeah.
So good.
Yeah. I'm trying to try to give him to this to the light, you know, to the light side.
Yes. In terms of the time difference here in the Philippines and Peru, we are 13 hours ahead, right? And
Yeah,
so in our
early
case,
morning.
the time here is 9:46 in the evening, and we're approaching the second day of August now. And you guys just started the first day of August there. so
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
believe it's
It's kind of crazy, you know.
yeah, it's jet lag. I mean, it's there over there. It's morning over here. It's evening, so it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, we start in the day and you're finishing the day.
Yes. Oh man, this is gonna be great. I mean, well, before we go into the center of the issue here, the viewers who want to know more about you, Mr. Andres. So, is it okay if you share how did you become a Christian, and how did your life transform from atheist to Christian?
Yeah, well, that's a interesting topic that I like to talk. You know, many people ask me how do I convert to Christianity, because sometimes they think that if you are an atheist, you can you saw the light and you can see and you can convert to Christianity or another religion. So, but when I find with these people, I try to to talk with them and say why they think like that, you know. And I usually talk about my experience. You know, I think with the we all have to decide for ourselves at some point. You know, yeah, it's true that my family is Christian, um, uh, but I had decided, you know, in a way to stay away from the church and everything concerning Christianity. So when I was about 14 years old, I saw my friends going to parties to have fun, and yeah, I wasn't allowed to. You know, my parents didn't allow me to do that. So my first rejection to the church was precisely because of these restrictions. You know, I thought that being Christian was being boring because I couldn't enjoy life and just go to church. You know, but after that, when I finished high school here in Peru, we when we finish high school, we have to prepare and to apply to an exam for the university. So when I was preparing uh, for the university, I was already beginning to question some things about faith. You know, whether Christianity was true or whether the church I went to was the true one, because I saw different cults and other religions so fear and sure of their faith that I wonder why think that only Christianity is true and why not also their religion. You know, these were the first questions that I started questioning that gradually began to lose my faith. So when I entered my pre-university stage, you know, to prepare myself to the university, I met professors who don't believe in God in more prepared way. You know, they were philosophers. Yeah. and other professions. And this, especially this atheist philosopher, he we became good friends because all those questions that I had about God and Christianity, he answered them. Obviously, they weren't through answers, but at the time, I thought they were true. For example, I thought that the question who created God was a was a good question. Uh, but yeah, and with the time, he recommended me atheistic literature, such as Why I'm Not a Christian by Bertrand Russell, God is Not Great by Christopher Hitchens, The God Delusion, etc., etc. I started seeing talks from these atheists, reading articles. Almost every day I read articles from atheist website and blogs. Yeah, I started to read more articles from these websites, atheist websites. Um, well, so my worldview changed. You know, I remember once I came home and told my dad I didn't believe in God. Something I like about his attitude was that my dad never imposed his belief on me. He let me think for myself. He never told me not to read this, or on the contrary. At home, as you can see, um, I have come in contact with more non-Christian books than Christians. So uh, yeah, my dad, as John Lennon says also when he talks about his his life, my dad let me think. Um, yeah, so when I told my dad that I didn't believe in God, that I consider myself an atheist, he said, "Well, why do you think there is no God? What are your arguments?" And always at lunch or dinner time, we used to discuss these issues. And it was something I liked because I had the option of disagreeing with my dad and discussing together. You know, I thought that I will never change my way of thinking. And as something funny is that I already saw myself installing the value of atheism in my future children. So it was kind of crazy. However, God used apologetics to draw me into his arms. My dad is a pastor, and I remember there was a pastor's event, and then my dad, asked me if I wanted to work on this event in the area of safety. I wanted to be away from Christianity, but I said, it's money, so let's do it. Um, yeah, so I accept this job. As in all Christian events, in the end, there are always Christians books and Bibles, that are selling. In one of the stalls selling Christian books, I noticed one that caught my attention. The book is called "Darwin Didn't Kill God" by Dr. Antonio Cruz. Yeah, what I said, let's see what Christians have to say about that. So yeah, that's how I slowly started to delve into this world of apologetics. In the midst of reading this book, I came across the work of Dr. William Lane Craig, Ravi Zacharias, J.P. Moreland, and others. I was so captivated by the case for God existence that I went from being an atheist to being an agnostic and then a deist. So I passed for these sessions. And yeah, I set out to do research on religions and to find out whether one of them was true or all of them were false, as Bertrand Russell says in his book "Why I'm Not a Christian." However, the case for Jesus, his resurrection, completely changed my deistic view. You know, the case in favor of his resurrection too is too strong to keep my deistic view. Now, while it's true that my coming to Christianity was intellectual, the Lord also worked in my life. I mean that I had a personal encounter with Jesus. Before being a Christian, I was very rebellious. I wanted to fight with my parents always, and there was no peace in my heart. You know, I always walk in anger. But when I reached the feet of the Master, all that changed, and there was a total restoration in my life. So, yeah, just to conclude my testimony, how do I become a Christian? One night, I went to my dad and told him that I wanted to give my life to Christ. That I recognized that I was a sinner in need of God's forgiveness. And that's how I came to Christianity. At first, I said that I thought Christianity was boring. Now I have realized that it's the opposite, you know. And I had the idea because I didn't really know Christianity. But I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I'm enjoying my life with Christ. And that's my story.
Wow, Mr. Andreas, that's really compelling. I mean, it's really encouraging also because imagine you were raised in a Christian home, but then you had doubts with your faith, you had questions, and then you entered college. You had conversations with your professors who are good in philosophy, and they even gave you books, atheistic books of Bertrand Russell, The God Delusion by Richard Dawkins, and Christopher Hitchens. Did they also give you Sam Harris, the book of
Yeah,
Sam
I
Harris?
also read Sam Harris. Yeah, Sam
Amazing, amazing.
Harris. Yeah,
So it means because you submerge yourself into these books, you really became a certified atheist. To the point where you even told your dad that you don't believe in God, and you even have arguments, and you were also rebellious in your family, and from there, your life changed when you started to read that book you just mentioned, that Darwin did not kill God, right, by Dr. Antonio Cruz, and slowly but surely, gradually, you became a Christian, that from an atheist to agnostic. Amazing! You even became an agnostic and a deist. And
yeah.
for the sake of the viewers, I'm sure the viewers are confused with these terms. When you say atheist, it is a person who don't believe in God. An agnostic is the one who is a person who don't want to know, because it comes from uh, from the word gnosko, which means to know, but there's a letter A in Greek, which is a negative connotation, which means no. I mean, you don't want to know. But then from there, you became a deist. Deists are people who believe in deism, and the deism is the concept wherein God is. You believe there's a God, but God is so out there. It's just outside. It is not relational. It doesn't talk to you. It doesn't communicate. It's just outside the universe. It just stays there. It doesn't go in.
Yeah, it's that.
It doesn't
Yeah,
intervene in the universe. Right? So that's
yeah,
what's.
it's like. Sorry,
Yeah, sure, sure.
sorry. No, I just wanted to say that it's like just you believe in a creator mind, an intelligent mind, you know, the create the world, but this intelligent mind doesn't have contact with its creation.
With its creation, yeah. Basically, that's the whole statement. There's a creator, but it has no contact, or rather, doesn't disturb, or rather enter his own creation, or have
Yeah.
any contact with his creation. But then, right, he became a theist, and then later a Christian, and it's amazing that from there, Mr. Andreas, you're now defending the Christian faith, and uh, considering the blog and the YouTube channel and the Facebook page you have created called Imago Dei. What do you do in the channel, Brother Andreas?
Yeah, well, actually, you know, I live in Peru, in Lima, So what I try to do is to translate some articles from this apologetics material from English to Spanish, always with I always ask for permission to the authors, and yeah, they are happy to know that their material are also translated to Spanish people, to Spanish speakers, who can who can um, uh, who can read about these issues, these answers to these objections, about Christian faith. And I also want to show with some articles that I write uh, from my experience, from my perspectives, why Christianity is true. And yeah, and also in my YouTube channel, I used to, and I also interview many Christian scholars, talking these relevant topics. Yes,
And by the
Christianity.
way, for you viewers, Mr. Andreas, you have interviewed well-known apologists and scholars like Dr. Mike Laconia, and have you interviewed Dr. Uh, sorry, Dr. Gary Habermas? Have you interviewed him?
No,
No,
not yet.
not yet, not yet.
But yes,
But
I interviewed Dr. Milicona, JP Morland, Hugh
oh,
Rose. Yeah, also there is a biochemistry who's called Sigard. Also, Joshua Rasmussen, he's a good philosopher. He's a Christian philosopher. Um, and yeah, then there's another Lisa Quintana who belongs to Women in Apologetics. It's a ministry. Uh, and yeah, and other people. Also,
and
Sandra Carvell
wow,
from RCIM, Max Baker from RCIM from the OCA. So yeah, Valeria Campichibelli from the OCA also.
amazing and amazing. Those are big people. They're really on the top of the scholarly level. I mean, they have PhDs and well experienced in their field. But Mr. Andreas, how long have you been doing this?
Well, I started this project um, actually the last year in
Wow.
December, yeah. But I started to with the interviews this year on May. Yeah,
Mm,
I'm thankful with the quarantine because of that,
amazing.
because the scholars have more time, to give interviews.
Amazing, man! You just started in the month of May, and you've reached this far already. I mean, it's awesome, man. I mean, it's such a blessing, bro. I'm sure to your Spanish friends there in Peru, and Mr. Andreas. How old are you now, Mr. Andreas?
Yeah, I'm 22 now.
And what year level are you now in college? Are you
Oh, well,
graduating?
I'm in in my fifth semester. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm in the middle of the career. So this is my third year.
Third year. So you have one more year before you graduate. That's bro. This is it's that's really that's so early, man. I mean, God can use you more, I'm sure, in the coming future. I
Thank
mean,
you.
it's
Thank
really
you.
an honor.
Yeah.
The Fellowship League will pray for you, bro, and we hope to really. I'm sure we would love to hear more from you. But with that,
Thank you.
Mr. Andreas, shall we dive in now to the rest of the questions? Are we ready to fire away?
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
All right. So the next question here, Mr. Andreas, is it good to have close friendships with unbelievers? And
Oh,
I mean, how should a Christian behave with unbelievers? And when you were an atheist, have you encountered, aside from your father, who is a pastor, have you encountered other friends of yours who were Christians? And then did you experience any like mistreatment or based on your experience and based on your experience, what advice can you give to the church or to the Christians? How should they behave or reach out to non-believers?
Well, thanks for the question. I think it's an important one. Uh, I think it's good to have close friends who are non-believers. From my experience, Well, yeah, we should have more close Christian friends. But in my case, for example, in the university, all my close friends are unbelievers. They are atheists, agnostics, and well, I think having close friends with unbelievers, close friendships with unbelievers can help in many ways. I think to be able to share the gospel with them more deeply. In my case, as I told you, my close friends in college are atheists, agnostics, and it's interesting when we talk about God and Christianity. No, in fact, they have a broader view of what Christianity means because they have never come across anyone who has rationalized Christianity for them. So, yeah, we are always talking about these issues, letting them know that Christianity is true, not because I believe it, just having a blind faith. Also because Christianity is supported by evidence. Um, and yeah, I think that to have close friendship with unbelievers can help in some way to also to know what these unbelievers think, you know, in a bigger way, but also to talk with them more deeply about the Christian faith. Because if you are talking with someone that you don't know or you are recently knowing, you can talk with them and talk about the gospel just in a general way. But with a close friendship, you can go deeper and you can be more harder, with the word of God. And yeah, it's interesting with the talks that I have with my unbelievers friends. And yeah, with regard to the second question, I believe that the Christians should act with love towards the other person. You know, we have several verses in the Bible mentioning this. We have Matthew in chapter 22, Mark 12, Ephesians 5:2, among others. Rabbi Zacharias mentioned or used to mention that true apologetics is love. And why do I make this emphasis? Because I believe that as a church, we have long treated unbelievers without love. Obviously, I'm not referring to everyone in total, but if we look kind of, history, we or also in our areas or yeah, we can see how unbelievers are so hard with church because the way of they were treated. In my case, I got to know many people who they believe in God. They are no atheists, but they don't want to know or to be close with the church of Christianity because of the reaction of some Christians, that they have with them. So they are hurt and they don't want to be in a church because they think that these people or the Christians are they the Christians didn't treat them with love, you know, and that's what I think that our attitude must be loving, as Jesus did. So that's it. With love and respect, sorry, we must treat them. You may not know much about apologetics. You may not know how to make a case for the veracity of Christianity, but if you show them love and that you care of them, that may be enough for the person to hear you speak of the Gospels. I when I usually speak in in a group of young people of the church, they told me that well they don't have many knowledge about apologetics, but they just show them the love of Jesus Christ. And these atheist people and these unbelievers are they are available, to speak more about Jesus because of your testimony, because of your behavior. So if we treat people with love, I think this is an open door for Christianity and also for the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Wow, Mr. Andreas, I like what you said there in the last part. You may not know much about apologetics. You may not know about the case for the veracity of the gospel and the truthfulness of the gospel itself in the Bible. But you have love. That's really effective. And I like what you said there. You cited Dr. Ravi. You said that love is the greatest apologetic. That is the apologetic. Love is that apologetic as it is. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the most important value that the church should have, and especially in the 21st century, because we all know, Mr. Andreas, that in the 21st century we are now living in the times of information. Right, everything is always in the head now. It's always on performance. It's always external. You have to show it. You have to. You have to unlock the files in your mind. I mean, people right now, especially the young people, are swiping their screens and absorbing more information more than they can talk, and that's the reality right now. And they're always focused now on absorption more than application, and
Yeah.
that's the shocking thing about where we are right now. And what you said there is it will break that cycle. It will break that culture. Love is always it always must be there. Well, I like what uh, I interviewed Mr. Max Jagannathan one time, who is the Max Jagannathan is the regional director of RZIM Asia Pacific. And to you viewers, uh, you can visit our page, and our interview is just there in the video section. You can just search for you can just scroll down there and look for Max special Q&A session with Max Jagannathan. And yeah, Max told me that it's true that don't believe everything you feel. I believe it's also equally true that you should not believe everything you think. So it's okay you think, it's okay to feel, but don't choose one of them. There has to be a balance of the two, and that will bridge between the head and the heart. And I believe I agree with what Mr. Andreas, our dear brother, said, that love is really the greatest apologetic, citing Dr. Ravi Zacharias. Mr. Andreas, we all know that, I'm sure you're aware of this also, that there are different kinds of atheists. Okay? There are different, there's a spectrum where we have the hard agnostics and the soft agnostics, the atheists who are so close-minded and really skeptical about things, wherein whether you give them the facts and tell them things, they won't easily believe and they won't easily listen. These are people who are not interested, or they really believe in a close belief that cannot be heard from a different, from a different person with a different worldview. So this is the also another question for the church, Mr. Andreas, which is if what if the Christian is he already gave all the facts and already gave everything, and the person still won't believe? How will the Christian respond? That's the first question. And the second part is, what if it's the other way around? The Christian don't know the answer. How can the Christian respond now if they don't know the answer? So those are two separate questions. One is, what if the Christian gave all the facts to the atheist and he still won't believe? He or she still won't believe. And what if the Christian don't know the answer? What should the Christian do?
Yeah, well, that's actually a good question. Um, Something that I believe is that we as people, we don't convert people, you know. So if you are presenting a case for the veracity of Christianity, and if this person, this atheist, are not allowed to seek the truth or to follow the evidence, and he just want to maintain his atheism or his atheism just because they want to, because you have to know that there's people who don't want to be Christian. They just don't want. It doesn't matter the evidence. It doesn't matter, what the arguments you have. They just don't want to be a Christian, and that's real. I encounter many times with people like that. So I think that just this is the task of the Holy Spirit. Um, we don't convert people. We just, if it's a friend of ours, um, we have to pray for them. But I wanted to mention that the Christian has to respond the question of unbelievers with love and wisdom. In, if we imagine that this is a very the first question that some atheists or some agnostic or another people ask us, uh, we have to be with love and wisdom, because many times it depends on a question for for this person to be willing to hear the gospel of Jesus. If you don't respond in a good way to the first question, you can miss the opportunity to show this person the gospel. So, for example, Dr. William Lane Craig, in his book On Guard, he mentions 3 points why apologetic is important. One of them is to shape the culture. And for a long time, believers have been seen as ignorant, unprepared people, especially here in Latin America. So if we answer these questions properly and intelligently, we are helping to change the way the world views Christians, not as buffoons, but as thinking people. Everything will depend on our answers. I want to tell you some experience that I had about this. I remember that while I was evangelizing and sharing the message of Christ in my university, I met a group of girls who asked me about homosexuality. And depending on my answer, they were going to be ready to hear the gospel, what I wanted to present. So if I had responded in a properly way, I might not have had the opportunity to tell them about Jesus. So if we don't know the answer, um, we just have to be honest. No, this is just for the second question. What about we don't know? No, what the when the atheist asked me, I just to lie and to make a false response. I think no. Um, we have to be honest. Greg Kuku, in his book Tactics, he mentioned, that if we don't know the answer to an objection to Christianity, let's be honest. There is no point in lying and trying to answer when in fact we may answer the question wrongly. Um, we can tell them, I guess, sometimes it functions that to the atheist or to the unbeliever, well, interesting question. Unfortunately, I don't have an answer for this now, but let me investigate and read about it. Maybe we can meet together later or tell you what I found. And I think this phrase, that uh, I don't have the answer, but let me investigate and meet in the future. I think it's powerful because you show to the non-believer uh, the honesty. I think a non-believer will value honesty more than trying to answer a question we don't know. So yeah, I think, to be honest, and just also, because as a Christians, we also are praying, and God is going to direct our conversations always, and He is going to be helping us. So yes, don't try to be smart and trying to answer some questions that you don't know and you don't have any idea. Just be honest. And let me tell you that if you don't know these questions, if some atheists ask you, let me tell you that I'm assure you that there's an answer out there. There's there's an answer that one Christian philosopher or Christian historian or one Christian scholar address it. So you just have to search it. You have to investigate, and yeah, that I can answer this question in that way.
Amazing. I like how you said it there, and you just cited two very important apologetic books. You cited number one, William Lane Craig's On Guard, where it says we're in for the first question that the purpose of apologetics is to shape the culture, and that's how what Christians should do. I mean, we should be intentional, and we should just continue to, through the Holy Spirit, commit to be with this person, love the person, and answer it properly. Don't, like what Ravi said, right? Don't look at the questions, look at the questioner. Right? There's always a person behind the question. So when you put that as a basis, as already a principle on how you answer questions, then the whole flow of the flow of the discussion, of the whole discussion, will be okay. There will be respect. There would be respect. There would be love. And in the second question, you also cited another book which is entitled Tactics by Greg Koukl, which said that if you don't know the answer, be honest. I mean, why should we have a hard time, trying to pressure ourselves on that moment where we can just be honest, and then it's not, it's just a matter of patience, and that you can answer it in a different time. And because there are answers, as what you said, Mr. Andreas, that there are answers from Christian scholars, Christian apologists, Christian historians, and different Christians in different various specializations. And I can relate to that, Mr. Andreas, because I used to be a Christian who's so intellectually driven, wherein I always tell people, this is the argument, this is the proof. But then you still won't believe it. I get affected easily, emotionally, as if I feel like I had to carry that burden on my back all the time. Wherein I was so passionate to the point wherein it also burned me out. And
Yeah,
I can relate to that, Mr. Andreas. And I believe that's what the church should do. We should, instead of, it is not like what you said in the first part. You said our goal is to not convert them. It is God Himself who converts. It is our duty to tell. So God converts, we tell. That's just like, plain and simple in four words, right? I mean, God changes or God converts, we tell.
yeah,
And
and I just wanted to mention and to add something that if you present a case, in favor of Christianity or God, and this person just don't want to, or this person wants to reject your arguments, you have to address it in a different way. If this person are not allowed to, um, yeah, to accept your arguments and your evidence, so you have to address it in another way. Maybe his rejection or her rejection to Christianity or God is not intellectual. Maybe he has a bad experience with church or religion or Christianity, and that's the reason that he can or he don't want to accept, Christianity. So it's important to just know, as Rabbi used to say, don't answer the question, answer the person. We have to remember that we are talking with person, not with machines.
Mm.
and, we have to read what they are telling us, or what, or yeah, that's what I wanted to say you, that sometimes there's people who are angry with God because of bad experience, and we have to address it in a different way.
Mr. Andreas, we shall now proceed to the very important part of our session, which is try to test if, I mean, let's say, for example, I'm an atheist, and then you're a Christian. Okay. And then one of the questions that unbelievers, or rather, even Christians themselves, everyone would always raise is the question of suffering. We think that you all know the trilemma, right? That if God is all powerful, God is all loving, there is evil, then it means that God is not loving to remove evil, because when God is love, he should care for his people. So because there's still evil and God allowed it, he doesn't love mankind, he doesn't love the people. So he's not loving. If he is powerful, he can remove evil in an instant, in a nanosecond. But it's not. It's still there. We still experience it. It's part of reality. So God is not powerful. So if God is not powerful, if God is not loving, then why call him God?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. It's uh, in fact, this problem of evil is called in philosophy, the problem of evil.
Problem.
And also, it is one of the greatest arguments against the existence of God. Um, yeah, several philosophers of religion divide this into two parts, the emotional problem and the intellectual problem. And at the same time, it is also divided into the moral evil, the evil caused by humans, and the natural evil that is caused by nature. So, yeah, talking about this subject is very deep, so I will try to address it in a general way. Uh, at least I have four answers for that. um, the first one is how we can we judge what is good or what is evil without God. What is our philosophical fundament for that? We think that, yeah, that is good or that is uh, evil, but if we don't have foundation of that, we can't really justify our judgment our as good or an evil, because we need a foundation. As a Christian, our foundation is in God, because He's all loving, He's all good, and that's our foundation. But if we are just product of change uh, and purpose, we are meaningless. So we just part of the rest of the species. So we are no value. We don't have value, and for that we don't have evil and good. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's kind of contradictory, But I suppose, yeah, the evil and the notion of evil, at least, is general for all of us, so we can see people suffering. So I think it's allow this question: why does God allow suffering? Well, also I can say that uh, I don't see a logical inconsistency between the existence of evil and the existence of God. Um, yeah. Now, he may have enough moral reasons to be able to allow suffering and evil in the world, which we, as finite beings, are not in a position to understand. God has a completely vision of the picture. That is, he can see the future and knows everything. And he knows why he allowed this, this suffering in this in this world or in our life or in this area. Many of us can know what these moral reasons are that God has to allow evil. Uh, but as the philosopher Albert Plantinga mentions, he says that the fact that we as theists don't know the reason why God allows evil, that's not invalidate the fact that God has certain reasons for this. For example, you buy a you buy a car, uh,
Yeah.
and you have reasons for being able to buy this car, you know. But just because I don't know what those reasons are, doesn't make your reasons go away. You know, the same for God. Uh, and I
That's right.
think there is this available to say that God have some reasons. Uh, just we as finite people don't know. You know, that is the reasons that God has. There is another theodicy. For people who don't know what is or what means theodicy, is this answer that theists make to this question why God allow evil. So one is called soul building. The one is that is known for this philosopher Trek Daugherty, uh, where it basically mentions that God allows certain suffering in the world in order to make us more virtuous. Now, I emphasize again, it doesn't refer to all the suffering in the world, just some suffering, you know. I am sure that many times we have looked back at difficult situations in our life which have helped you to be a better person. You know, these difficult situations have helped us to make a better person. Uh, and maybe this could be one reason, you know, why God allow evil in the world to make us more virtuous. Finally, I want to say that when we are suffering, we don't suffer alone. God suffers with us. You know, He didn't just stand there with His arms folded. He did something. He came into this world through the person of Jesus Christ to give us a solution. And this is where Christian hope lies. You know, as Christians, we believe the evil exists, it's real. The evil that exists in the world is real, is not illusory. But all this evil has an expiration date. It will have an end, and that's what the Bible tells us. You know, in Revelations, it mentions that God will be God Himself wiping away our tears. We will be in a place where there will be no more suffering or pain or crying. So I think that's what I could answer why God allows suffering.
That's a very brief and concise. I like how you explain it there, where you categorize suffering. You mentioned, well, in terms of response, there is a emotional response, there's an intellectual response, and when you look at suffering, you always focus on what that very important four-letter word, evil, wherein there are two kinds of evil. There's natural evil, where is caused by nature, so tsunami, earthquakes, so volcanic eruption. This is natural evil, and there's the artificial evil, wherein uh, we humans are the ones who's causing that evil. You know, murder, killings, massacre, genocide, Holocaust, so on and so forth. And how you responded to it, it's actually amazing because you mentioned intellectually. You mentioned that it's highly probable. It's actually not probable. It's actually uh, logical. It's logical and cogent to say that we, as finite beings, people who don't know everything, could not comprehend that God, who is completely intelligent and who knows everything. If He knows everything, then it's for sure He knows both good and evil. And if he knows both good and evil, then there is a reason that he is why he allowed suffering. And I think, if I may add also to that, we only focus on uh, two attributes, right? If God is powerful, if God is loving, why should we only focus on those two attributes? No, maybe why don't we consider also God is just? Why don't we consider that God is merciful? Why don't we consider God is a loving Father? Right? I mean, that will change the whole picture, because true, God would really have good reasons. God has good reasons why he allowed suffering. And that's what you said. You cited a philosopher, you cited a scholar that said he allowed suffering to make us virtuous. You didn't say all suffering, but some suffering. And the second part, well, actually, what you mentioned is the second part. The first part, you mentioned more on the foundation. What is the moral point of reference for a person who don't believe in God to say that this is evil? Where did that idea come from? No? Or who gave that moral framework to that person who don't believe in God to say that this is madness, that this is injustice, that this is wrong, that this is evil? Not to mention the good, that this is how kind of you, how respectful you are. Amazing, you are a good person. I mean, who gave that person that ability to discern between good and evil? That is something that that's what you said. The atheist cannot answer. I believe even Sam Harris himself will not be able to answer that question. He would just focus on the mind, but even the mind itself cannot sustain that framework. But those are good answers for the intellectual. For the emotional, in the last part of what you said, Mr. Andreas, you said about Jesus Christ, where Jesus Christ will help you. He is a loving Father. He died on the cross for you. And so if he died on the cross for you, he overcame the grave. Uh, rather, he will help you overcome the grave as well. That Jesus Christ had shown that he can conquer evil, that actually he conquered evil, and there is hope beyond the grave. It will simply show that evil itself will soon be conquered, will soon be removed, will soon be destroyed. Death will be destroyed, and there is hope beyond the grave. I mean, I like that. It's amazing answer there, Mr. Andres. We have one last question before we end this wonderful session. The last question here is Mr. Andres. Another question of unbelievers would ask uh, about religion. You know, religion is what they say, the opium of the people. You know, religion is the one that kills people. And religion is diverse. There are many ways to heaven. There are many ways to God. There's Buddhism, Hinduism. I mean, if this is what religion shows, why should there be religion in the first place if it brings confusion, if it brings death, if it kills humanity, if it kills us? Why should there be religion? Aren't we better off as human beings without religion? So how can the Christian respond to that last question, Mr. Andres?
Yeah, well, I can. This is a good question, actually. This is what the new atheists, in particular, are saying. That all religions are bad in themselves and should disappear. That we are better off without religion. That religion is simply a stick of leaf. Many say that they don't need a God. They don't need a God to be good. But actually, we now enter to this topic of how do we know what is good or what is bad? But actually, with the wars, and some people try to present a case against Christianity because of um, because of the wars, or because these past events that Christianity has, Also, yeah, it was bad, bad reactions. But we have to remember that a person who is really a Christian is a person who follows what Jesus says. So where we found this, we find this example of good Christians in the Bible. So yeah, some people can say, I'm a Christian, but if this person act in a bad way or act against what Jesus preached, I can name him or name her as a Christian. That person can be whatever they want, but not Christian. You know, yeah. Sadly, there's many examples of how many people they call themselves as Christians. They don't preach a good example of the message of Jesus Christ, um, and some people are reject religion because of that. So if someone told me because of war or they are better of religion, I try to address uh, by this by the question of the purpose. Do you think that you have a purpose in your life, that you're valuable? So we try to address with those kind of questions and to find to reach to God, to because at one point we are going to know that if there is no God, we don't have purpose. We are meaningless. So I think that nobody can live with that. Actually, Dr. William Lane Craig has a excellent article about I forget the name, but it's about the man can live without God, you know. So he presents a case why the life without God or without God is meaningless and also is useless. In terms of change, because we are just product of change. We are one species, one more species of the nature, and our life is just it's going to disappear when we die. There is no future life, and also there is no future judgment, for some evil people. And yeah, well, I address it in that way because in the university I had many people who who try to address in this way. But sometimes when we present a case for the veracity of Christianity, they don't have a more answer to start, for example, allowing that there is a God. As in my case, I start as a DS. So these people start like first DS, sometimes pantheists, they tend to pantheism, but we have to try uh, to reach them to Christianity because of the life of Jesus Christ. I think that Jesus Christ, the life of Jesus Christ and the case for Jesus Christ is too much for people can admit Christianity is true. And also not because it's rooted in evidence, just because Jesus Christ is alive and he can transform our life. So if Jesus Christ can transform your life, you you have an open door to say that religion is good. And not also religion in general, one religion, the Christianity is true, and that you need it.
Wow, Mr. Andres. I mean, with that question so hard to answer and so bulky, you immediately you immediately find a way through the person of Jesus Christ, the cross of Jesus Christ. It's like it always goes back to him, because before we can understand that Christianity is the true religion, we must always focus on who Jesus is. And Jesus Christ is the one that separates, Jesus Christ is so unique among all worldviews, among all religion. Whether you talk about wars, talking about killings, talking about the opium of the people, talking about um, the sense of confusion. Jesus Christ does not bring confusion. He is not only the one who is true to his own word, he himself is the word. He's not the one who gives, who's the giver of life. He himself is the life. He's not the one who brings love to people. He himself is love. And we can see that no other worldview, no religion can ever give you that logical and experiential and empirical answer than the Christian worldview through the person of Jesus. And talking about the externalities of each of the religious worldviews, we can see that Jesus Christ had shown a different kind of approach to different people. He's a loving teacher. He showed that he's the way, the truth, and the life. He himself is the way. He himself is the truth, and he himself is that life. I mean, any other religion would say that they only give what they can give, but they are not that what they give. Jesus Christ is himself the one who was given to die on the cross for mankind.
Yeah,
And that
also
is,
that
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
sorry. Yeah, sorry for that.
No, it's okay, sorry, go ahead.
Uh, just I wanted to mention something. When people mention that we don't need religion, you have to make a case for God existence first. And if the person accept, that there is a God, there is a creator, intelligent mind, we have to just to analyze if it's all of the religions are false or there is one that is true. Here, as I said, we have to focus on Jesus Christ. If the person wants evidence, we have evidence for crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus Christ, and why this is important. And so, if all of this is true, all of this about Jesus is true, Judaism, Islam, and other religions are false. Um, you know, just one can stand with truth. Now, something that I learned is that not all religions can be true, just once. Just one of them have to be true if religions are true. And we saw this, and we see in Jesus that this is the one who stands against all of the objections and stand with evidence in favor, of Christianity, of course.
Oh, I mean, what you said there, Mr. Andres, is more now on the intellectual side, which is more logical and very important as well, because it will now question now the method of knowing truth, or what is the importance of truth, and how can you know that Jesus Christ, or rather Christianity itself, the Judeo-Christian worldview itself, is the only worldview that is out there. For you viewers who want to know more about the nature of truth and the methods of knowing truth, you can go to our video. I interview Dr. Richard Schumack, who is the part of the Answering Islam team of RZIM based in Australia, and he's also an active participant in what a website, a ministry called Public Christianity. And he's more on the Islamic religion. He got his PhD in Islamic studies, but he's also an epistemologist. When I say epistemologist, it means epistemology is the study of knowledge. So he's more into that field of knowing truth as well, because he himself is a philosopher, Dr. Richard Schumann. So you can go to that video. But what Mr. Andreas said is very clear, that not all religions can be true, because that will be illogical. Truth is cannot be inclusive. It's exclusive. All religions, they all claim to be true, but logically, there's only one way, and that is Christianity. Where in my case, what I said a while ago is the emotional side. If Mr. Andreas mentioned of the intellectual side that about all religions cannot be all be true, I mentioned the emotional side wherein Jesus Christ enters the scene now, which is what Mr. Andreas said earlier as well. That it always goes back to the cross of Jesus, what he did, who he is, and he himself reflecting to the community of Christians, not only in the early church, but for 2,000 years, and its impact to society and to Western culture and to all cultures around the globe. It's very tremendous. It's very radical, so to speak. And like what you said, Mr. Andres, there are numerous, actually not only numerous, it's there are a lot of evidence, a lot of pieces of evidence to prove that. Now, I hope that that question really is really good, and very important that you mentioned also about the idea of the about the importance of morality, that we actually need religion because it helps us with our morality. And it seems that you already answered that in the previous question, more on how can a person decide which is right and wrong without God. So that's already answered well. Well, Mr. Andres, we have reached already the end of our session. I know there are more questions that ought to be answered, but we shall end here. It's an honor to have you, bro. The viewers would want to hear your closing remarks, Mr. Andres.
Well, Carl, thanks for inviting me. I really enjoyed the interview. Well, just to say that keep on preparing in apologetics, to your viewers, that we need more people announcing the truth of the Gospels. Always remembering that it's not, that are not just arts who convert people. We don't convert people. No, it's the Holy Spirit who does the work. We are only His instruments. Rabbi Zacharias, as we said, mentioned that our task as apologists must be to connect the mind with the heart. That is, we must realize that we are responding to people, not machines. And each person has a different situation, so we have to address it correctly. So just tell you that you guys that are watching us, that keep on preparing, serving the Lord is beautiful, and God bless you so much. Thank you for having me here.
Oh, it's an honor, Mr. Andreas. I mean, may you continue to serve the Lord. May you continue to don't stop with your ministry, brother. I'm sure that you have impacted a lot of people through your page, through your blog, through your Facebook page, Imago Dei. And the Fellowship League really honors this wonderful session, bro. Thank you very much for being with us, not only as a guest, but also a brother in Christ and a loved one as well. This is not the last time we can have Mr. Andreas here. We might be having him again in the following months, or you will never know when. And so,
yeah, it would be awesome to
yes, it would be awesome. And with that, for you viewers, we hope that you have been you enjoyed this wonderful session. I know that this is somehow boring because this is really bulky and it's more than an hour, but it's okay. At least you're able to grasp something. And we hope that you would share this video to your wonderful friends, families, and also relatives that I'm sure they're also craving for this kind of answers, especially to your friends who are longing for these answers, friends who have been seeking the truth, friends who have been trying to find the answers to the deepest questions of life. Maybe this video can be an inspiration, or this video can help them in their walk of in their journey in life. Please like, follow, and share our Facebook page, the Fellowship League, Facts, Cross, and Discourse. Thank you very much, dear viewers, for supporting us, for viewing us. It has been you guys have been a great blessing, and we continue to pray for you guys. And please catch our reflections and also our Sunday hangout this Sunday. And you will never know who will be the next guest. It will be focusing more on either diversity or history. I'm sure history is such a boring subject, but we're gonna do it anyway. So thank you very much, viewers, and God bless on your journey, guys. And please stay safe. Okay, practice social distancing, wear mask, stay safe, be kind, and Mr. Andreas, God bless you, bro. And we hope to see you again next time. Adios.